The wind hits 60 below zero, and Corey hasn't eaten in 2 months. He stands with an egg balanced on his feet, tucked under a fold of skin, while a storm strips the ice bare around him. He can't move. If he drops that egg for even 90 seconds, the cold kills it. This is an emperor penguin, and this is the middle of his story, not the beginning. 3 months earlier, Corey was just one voice in a crowd of thousands on the sea ice of Antarctica, calling out across the colony in March, at the start of the southern hemisphere autumn. Emperor penguins are the only penguin species that breeds during the brutal Antarctic winter, walking as far as 120 kilometers inland from open water to reach traditional breeding grounds on stable sea ice, away from the crumbling edges where predators lurk. The timing sounds insane until you understand the math behind it. Chicks need roughly 5 months to grow strong enough to survive on their own, and the only way to hit that window is to start mating in the coldest, darkest part of the year. So hatching lines up with the brief Antarctic summer when the sea thaws and food returns. Corey arrived at the colony after an 8-day walk, exhausted, hungry, and single, in a crowd where males slightly outnumber females most seasons, which meant competition was about to get loud. Male emperor penguins don't fight with their bodies the way seals or deer do. They fight with sound. Corey found an open patch of ice and began his display, throwing his head back, inflating his chest, and releasing a 2-part call that can carry across the entire colony, a mix of low and high notes unique to him alone, like a signature. Females move through the crowd listening, comparing calls, sometimes for days, before settling near one male and answering his call back. This vocal matching is how mates find each other again later in a colony of 10,000 identical-looking birds, since sight alone would never work in that packed crowd. A female named Senna stopped near Corey on the 4th day. They stood face to face and began mirroring each other, bowing their heads together, matching each other's calls note for note, sometimes for 20 minutes at a stretch. Neither bird touched food during this. Courtship in an emperor penguin colony in March is essentially a multi-day audition performed on an empty stomach in temperatures already dropping past -20. Mating itself, when it finally happens, takes less than 2 minutes. The male climbs carefully onto the female's back, balancing on her spine using his flippers, and copulation lasts somewhere between 20 and 90 seconds. It looks awkward and unstable on ice this slick, and pairs sometimes slide apart mid-attempt and have to reposition. Emperor penguins are almost entirely monogamous for a single season, but not for life. Around 85% of pairs do not reform the following year, mostly because so few birds from any given pair both survive to breed again, not because they seek out someone new. Timing matters enormously here. Females that mate too late in the season risk laying an egg that won't hatch before the summer thaw arrives, so there's real pressure to pair up fast despite the crowd, the noise, and the cold already setting in around them. Fertilization is internal, and Senna laid a single egg in early May, about 63 to 68 days after mating, weighing close to 460 grams, nearly 1/10 of her own body weight. Emperor penguins lay exactly 1 egg per season, never 2, because in this climate, 1 is already almost more than a pair can manage. The egg has almost no time to sit exposed. Within minutes of laying it, Senna had to transfer it onto Corey's feet, a maneuver both birds have practiced only through instinct, since a single mistake means the egg touches the ice and freezes solid in under 2 minutes at these temperatures. The handoff worked. Senna, having gone roughly 5 weeks without eating while forming the egg, immediately began her walk back to open water to feed, leaving Corey holding everything that mattered. This is where the male's role becomes the whole story. Corey settled onto the egg, tucking it into a brood pouch of bare, blood-rich skin folded over his feet, and did not move for the next 65 to 75 days. He didn't eat. He didn't walk to the sea. He stood, along with thousands of other males, huddling shoulder to shoulder in a slow rotating mass called a turtle formation, each bird taking turns at the freezing outer edge before shuffling back toward the warmer center. Wind chill inside an Antarctic winter storm regularly drops past -60 degrees Celsius, and gusts can exceed 200 kilometers per hour. Males lose up to 45% of their body weight during this incubation period, burning fat reserves alone for over 2 months straight. Some don't make it. Colony-wide, a portion of males abandon or lose their eggs to storms, exhaustion, or simply running out of reserves before the females return. And it's rarely less than 10% in a hard season. Frost frostbite, starvation, and being crushed at the edge of the huddle during a whiteout are the three real threats, and Corey faced all three that July. The storm that opens this story hit in the 6th week. Winds tore through the huddle for 36 hours straight, and Corey lost his position twice, forced to shuffle back toward the group center each time while shielding the egg with his flippers. Temperatures on the exposed ice fell to minus 62 degrees Celsius with wind chill. Birds around him died standing up, frozen where they stood, still holding eggs that would never hatch. Corey survived by pure positioning, staying close enough to the huddle's core to share body heat while never once shifting the egg off his feet. His weight had dropped from 34 kilograms in March to under 20 by the time the storm broke. Senna, meanwhile, had reached open water 100 kilometers away and spent 7 weeks gorging on fish, squid, and krill, rebuilding the fat she'd lost before beginning the long walk back inland. Her timing had to be almost exact. Eggs hatch after 65 to 75 days, and if she arrived too late, Corey would have already been forced to abandon the chick to go feed himself. Something males do only as an absolute last resort, since a newborn chick left alone for even a few hours in these temperatures dies quickly. The egg hatched in late July, and it took Corey's chick nearly 3 full days to break through the shell completely, chipping at it from the inside with a small, hard bump on its beak called an egg tooth. Corey felt the shell shift beneath him before he saw anything. Tiny movements against the skin of his brood pouch. When the chick finally broke free, it weighed about 315 grams, covered in soft gray down, blind to the wind, but able to make a thin, high call almost immediately. A call it would use for the rest of its life to find its parents in the crowd. Corey had no food to give it. Male emperor penguins produce a substance called crop milk, a fat and protein-rich secretion from the esophagus lining, and it was the only thing keeping the chick alive as it waited for its mother. Seta arrived 4 days after hatching, guided back to the exact spot by memory and by Corey's call, which she recognized instantly out of thousands. She had regurgitated food stored specifically for this moment, and the chick ate for the first time from her within hours of her arrival. This is the point where the parents begin trading shifts, one incubating or guarding the chick, while the other treks back to the sea to feed, a rotation that will continue for weeks. Corey, having lost nearly half his body weight and gone 115 days without eating, finally made his own walk to open water, driven purely by hunger his body could no longer ignore. The first 24 hours of a chick's life are the most dangerous of the entire ordeal. A chick left exposed for more than a few minutes in temperatures below minus 40 can die of hypothermia before either parent notices. Skuas, large predatory seabirds, circle over the colony constantly, watching for any chick that slips out from under a parent's pouch or gets separated in the crowd, and an unguarded chick has a real chance of being killed within the hour. Corey's chick spent its first day almost entirely inside the brood pouch, only its head emerging to call and occasionally take food, its body temperature regulated entirely by contact with the adult's skin. Over the following weeks, the chick's odds slowly improve, but not by much at first. Around day 10, chicks begin briefly leaving the pouch to stretch and move, though a cold snap can still kill an unguarded chick this young in under 30 minutes. By day 20, down feathers thicken and chicks can tolerate short spells outside the pouch, though skuas remain the leading cause of death in this window, along with chicks that lose contact with their parents in a crowd of thousands and can't be found again in time. By day 30, chicks are strong enough to join a creche, a tight cluster of dozens of same-age chicks huddling together for warmth while both parents feed at sea simultaneously, something impossible earlier in the chick's life. Overall, chick survival to fledging across a typical emperor penguin colony sits around 50%, sometimes lower in a bad ice year, with starvation, predation, and cold exposure accounting for nearly all the losses. The chicks that make it to day 30 have cleared the single hardest stretch of the entire process. Back at the colony in early August, Corey returned from the sea heavier, steadier, and found his chick waiting in the creche, recognizing its call among hundreds of others calling at once. The storm that nearly killed him in week 6 was long past, one of dozens that hit the colony that winter, and one of the ones he happened to survive. His chick, gray-downed and loud, was one of roughly half its hatchier cohort still alive at 30 days old, standing on ice that would, in 5 more months, finally break apart into open water and let it swim for the first time. None of it was guaranteed. Every stage of it had been a percentage, a temperature, a number of days that had to land exactly right. Corey had simply been one of the ones for whom they did.